Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is 𝕤𝕚𝕚. I am a fairly new manga collector. I usually try to stay within my budget, but I've definitely been getting way too click happy these days. And I want to balance and offset the cost of the sometimes ridiculous cost of new manga with used ones as well. And personally, I would like to keep the percentage of my manga that's used at about 50% or more. So all the manga that I'll be showing in today's haul are pre-loved volumes only, to balance the costs of new manga. Like I said, they're purchases that I've accumulated over the last 2 months, and I was just too lazy to shelf them, with the exception of the amazing haul that I was able to score on Black Friday. And to put things in perspective cost-wise, I have 50% more volumes here than I did in my last manga haul, but it cost me only half the price and brought my average cost per volume of manga to $3.50, which is amazing. So I'll go ahead and start the manga haul with volumes I was able to get from my local used bookstore. I found some amazing deals and series from that bookstore, and this trip did not disappoint either. I walked away with 16 volumes, 17 if you count the one omnibus in the purchase, for a little over $80. But the best part about that bookstore is they have a reward system. So from my last two purchases, I have accumulated a future credit of $24.45. I'll go over my purchases, starting with the really popular one, Jujutsu Kaisen. I have volumes 7 and 17 here. I already own volumes 0, 1, 2, and then 8 through 16 of Jujutsu Kaisen, and I just want to keep adding to the collection little by little. I am very happy that it was these two volumes that I was able to score. Volume 7 with Choso on the cover, and then volume 17, the volume that brought us Maki 2.0. And all I can really say about this volume is, if you think you're a Maki stan right now, just wait until you see the 2.0 version. Oh my god, it is so good. And just in comparison, you can see that I bought these two volumes at different prices because one is in better condition than the other. The volume 17 isn't in as great of a condition, even though it's a newer volume. I'm not sure how that happened. It's not terrible, but for $4, I can't complain. So yeah, Jujutsu Kaisen. The next two I have here are volumes 1 and 2 of Flower in a Storm. This is a shoujo beat series complete in just these two volumes. It was released in the early 2000s, so the volumes do have a little bit of yellowing, but overall they're still in really good condition. The plot of this manga: the rich guy on the front falls in love with the girl at first sight and is convinced that she needs to become his wife. I really enjoyed this because they're both in high school and their personalities make for an interesting read. The manga feels a little bit rushed because it's just two volumes, but regardless, I still really enjoyed this one and would recommend it. Next, I have the first omnibus of 𝕤𝕠𝕚𝕒, and then volumes 1 through 3 of BL Metamorphosis. I picked these ones up because the premise of them is interesting and I would like to give them a try. So 𝕤𝕠𝕚, you have Jesus and Buddha living together as roommates in a Tokyo apartment. That is very interesting. I'm curious to read that one. And then BL Metamorphosis, a widow in her 70s develops a very unlikely friendship with a teenager, and they bond over their love of BL. I don't know, that sounds very interesting to me. I can totally see myself as an old woman in her 70s and having a conversation with a teenager about BL or just books in general or anything that I'm really passionate about. So I would love to give that one a try. It's a pretty short series and it's completed in only 5 volumes. So if I like these 3, I'll pick up the other 2. And lastly, in this haul, I have 8 volumes of Rosario Vampire. I watched the anime for Rosario Vampire a long time ago. I can barely remember it, but I found 8 volumes at the bookstore. I have volumes 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And the thing that's confusing about Rosario Vampire is the manga has been split into seasons 1 and 2. The first season has 10 volumes, the second has 14 volumes, and it took a while for me to notice that these volumes are actually for the second season, because after the first season of volumes, instead of like continuing where the first season left off and just going to volume 11 in season 2, the series picks back up from volume 1 again for the second season. So all these volumes are season 2, and even if I wanted to get started on reading the manga and getting into it again, I can't, because this is like pretty much in the middle of the volume, or in the middle of the series, I mean. But yeah, I picked that up. I really love these volume covers. They are serving editorial realness. I mean, look at them. They look like they're posing for some sort of magazine. I love them so much. And some of them have this mini posters inside of them. But yeah, Rosario Vampire, I cannot wait to rediscover this series if I ever find the first season somewhere, or maybe I'll just read that online. But that pretty much wraps up this portion of the haul. The next set of manga I'll be going over are the volumes of Berserk I was able to score on Black Friday, as you probably already saw from the thumbnail or the title for this video. I wasn't really planning to do any Black Friday shopping, but the bookstore that I got the first set of manga that I went over in the video was doing a mystery discount on Black Friday, and that just basically meant that they had a jar with different types of discount, either like a certain amount of your entire purchase or a certain percentage of your entire purchase, and that applied to their entire store. So I figured I'd go in there and try out my luck. I walked in there, put my hand in the jar, and I pulled out a 40% off discount. I couldn't believe my luck, so I just went straight to their manga section. And then I saw 34 of the 42 volumes of Berserk. I didn't think twice. I just grabbed everything and went straight to checkout. So because the volumes were already pretty marked down, they were $5 each, but then I had the extra 40% discount, and I was also able to apply the credit that I accumulated from my last purchase as well. And that brought all 34 volumes to $81.20. That was the only thing I bought on Black Friday, but it was the best thing I could have ever bought on Black Friday. Like, I walked out and I just scored an amazing deal. And total honesty, I've never read Berserk before. I got my start with manga with the shoujo and shonen demographics, and by the time I started reading more adult stuff and discovered titles like Berserk, I figured that I had time to read it, or maybe I was just waiting for it to get completed before reading it. But unfortunately, the mangaka passed, and I started wondering if I wanted to read a series that's probably never going to get completed. But I've decided that it will be worth a read, because to the manga community, this is just one of those mangas that is what a lot of people say like the best thing that's ever been written. I looked it up on anime list, and Berserk is #1. The rating is 9.47, I believe. I couldn't believe my eyes. I don't think I've ever seen any manga that's rated over 9 on my anime list. So yeah, I would definitely like to give Berserk a read. Next up, I have an order from World of Books. This has been one of my favorite online shops for buying used books, and the fact that they have manga just makes me so happy. World of Books also had a sale for used manga. I believe it was if you buy 3 used manga under $6, you'll be able to get the 4th one free. So I bought 45 volumes. There are 2 3-in-1 volumes in the order, so that bumps the overall number up a bit as well. I also opened the boxes much later after they were delivered, only to realize that I was missing 3 volumes. I already reached out to them about the missing volumes, and I will hopefully get them by the time this video is up. Since there are so many series in the World of Books order, I've tried to split them into 3 different sections to make it easy to talk through everything. So in the first section, I have series that I'm already collecting, but I'm slowly adding to. The second section will be series that are completely new to me. And then the last section, which is the largest portion of the order, will be series that I'm already familiar with, but I'm just starting to collect. So in the first section, series that I'm already collecting, but I'm slowly adding to, I have 5 volumes of Haikyuu, volumes 1, 3, 40, 43, and 44. I guess I'll be starting with a rant. I have not gotten over the fact that instead of a new season, we're getting a movie for Haikyuu. Like, who thought that was a good idea? I understand if everything post time skip is going to be a movie, but everything between that and where volume 4 left off should have been a new season. They robbed fans, and I would die on that hill. Like, why? I've not accepted it until the movie comes out. I still believe that something can change. Haikyuu is like in my top 10 titles in manga generally, like regardless of the genre, the demographic. This is one of my top 10 titles. I love Haikyuu very, very, very much. And I was so disappointed when they decided to make the next arc of the series into a movie. Like I said, I haven't accepted it, but I guess that's just what it's going to be. But yeah, 5 volumes of Haikyuu. The next set of manga I have here are just like a mishmash of 4 different series. I have the 3rd volume of Jealousy, volume 1 of Queen's Quality, Midnight Secretary, and Komi Can Communicate. I will start with Queen's Quality. I haven't read this series, but this is by the same mangaka that wrote Dengeki Daisy. I found some volumes of the series at a library sale earlier in the year, so I wanted to grab more of it. And since I now have the first volume, I guess I can start reading the series. So that was why I picked that one up. Next, I have Midnight Secretary. This is a shoujo bit title, but it's actually a josei series. That's probably a bit confusing, but shoujo bit publishes titles for the josei demographic as well. Another really good example of that will be Nana. I read this series a long time ago and I really enjoyed it, so I would like to collect it. I think it's short with like 7 to 9 volumes, and I already have one. This section is series I'm already collecting, but yeah, I wanted to collect it. And next I have Komi Can Communicate. I have the first volume of Komi Can Communicate. I haven't watched it, I haven't read it. It sounds interesting. I would like to give it a try. I have to start reading it soon though, because I don't know if it's one I want to keep collecting. The series is already pretty long. I believe there are like 31 volumes and it's still ongoing. So I need to decide if it's a series I want to keep collecting sooner rather than later. But yeah, I picked that up because I wanted to give it a try. The last manga I have in this section is the third volume of Jealousy by Scarlet Beriko. Let's talk about this. I love Scarlet Beriko and Yakuza type stories in manga, but I do not know what was going on with Jealousy. I started reading this one a long time ago, and I believe the series went on hiatus for a while. So I got back into it earlier in the year, and I was so confused. I actually didn't finish reading it because I didn't like it, but I want to give it a try again just because I like Scarlet Beriko, so I was happy that I found this volume used. The next section, like I mentioned earlier, will be series that are completely new to me, and I've split that into 2 parts. In the first part, I have the first volume of Witch Hat Atelier, The Apothecary Diaries, and Devil's Line. I'll start with The Apothecary Diaries. So this one is fairly new to me, and my first introduction to this series was when the anime adaptation was announced. It's actually one of the few anime that I've been watching this season, and I'm really, really enjoying it. So I wanted to read the manga as well. And for the other 2 that I have in this, I have the first volume of Witch Hat Atelier and Devil's Line. I do not know much about them, but I want to try them. They've have like really, really good reviews and come highly recommended by other manga readers. So I wanted to give them a try. In the second part of this section, I have the first 2 volumes of After the Rain, the first volume of Blood on the Tracks, and the first volume of Kaiju number 8. After the Rain, I believe this is a slice of life coming of age series about this high school girl that falls in love with a 45-year-old man. I really hope this series isn't problematic because I love my coming of age stories, and I just wanted to give that a try. The cover looks really beautiful. And yeah, I would like to read that. For Blood on the Tracks, I've been seeing this one a lot, and I really want to try something by Shuzo Oshimi. I do not really do horror, but I'm trying this one out for the psychological aspect. I know it's about this kind of helicopter mom. Yeah, I would like to give that a try. If I'm not feeling it and the horror is like too much, I'm not going to continue reading it. Horror is really not my thing. And the last volume in this section is Kaiju number 8. I've seen really, really good reviews about this series, and I wanted to pick it up and give it a try. And finally, for the last section, series that I'm already pretty familiar with, but I'm just starting to collect, I'll start that off with the series High School Debut. I have 2 3-in-1 volumes of the series, so volumes 1 through 6 compiled into 2 books. I read this one a long time ago, but I would like to give it a reread. It's about a tomboy sporty girl who asks a popular guy to coach her in romance. I love this trope so much. It doesn't matter how many times it's been done, I'll always eat it up, and I cannot wait to reread this series. I'm so excited about it, and I was happy to find these volumes at a really good price too. Next up, I have more shoujo beat titles, 2 volumes of 3 different series each. I have the first 2 volumes of Rainbow Days, volumes 1 and 9 of Haoharu Ride, and volumes 2 and 3 of Daytime Shooting Star. I was meant to have the first volume of Daytime Shooting Star in this order as well, but it's one of the volumes that was missing when I opened the package. So I'm hoping that World of Books will resolve that soon. But I love all 3 of this series very, very much. They're all completed. If you are not familiar with any one of them and you're looking for a shoujo series to read, I recommend all 3 of them. They're really, really good series to give a read, and I just can't wait to collect them and reread them myself. So yeah, Daytime Shooting Star, Aoharu Ride, and Rainbow Days. Next set of manga I have are the first volume of Princess Jellyfish, the first volume of Yakuza Lover, and the first volume of Your Name, Princess Jellyfish. I read this one a long time ago, but I cannot remember anything about it. I do remember enjoying it, so I would like to, I guess, reacquaint myself with the series. And then Yakuza Lover, I started reading this back in 2018, but I did not finish it. I dropped it at some point. Story of my life. It is now completed, so I would like to reread the series. I remember enjoying the first few chapters of the series that I read. And lastly, I have Your Name by Makoto Shinkai. I think a lot of people are probably familiar with the movie. I picked this one up because I want to read the manga, see how much of it was actually adapted into the movie. And I actually really like Makoto Shinkai's work. And speaking of that, Suzume is out on Crunchyroll. Make sure you stream it if you enjoyed Makoto Shinkai's works as well. Next up, I have volumes 2, 3, 4, and 5 of the series Hanakimi. This series holds so much nostalgia for me. It was the first series that introduced me to the gender bending trope in manga, and I was so happy to see these volumes after the mangaka passed in October. May her soul rest in peace. I am also very familiar with the Korean drama adaptation featuring Chinese Minho and FX's Soli, who, if you're interested in K-pop, also passed away in 2019, and that felt very closely related to Jonghyun's death in 2017. So there are a lot of things that makes this series very close and dear to my heart, and I was really happy to see these volumes. Next, I have volumes 2 and 3 of Godchild. This is a gothic shoujo manga that is a sequel to another one titled El Cain. They're both set in the 19th century in England and follow the story of a young earl called Cain Argreaves, who was forced to become the head of a noble family with a dark past after his father died. This is a pretty dark series for the shoujo demographic, and it explores quite a number of genres. You have a little bit of horror and supernatural themes, and there are subtle hints of a shonen ai storyline as well. The next set of manga I have are mostly BL. I have the first volumes of Cast Heaven, Scattering is Virgin Bloom, and Koi Monogatari, and then the first 2 volumes of Our Dreams at Dusk. Cast Heaven is a series that's set in a high school where the caste system is determined by playing card games. That's really the only way I can describe it. I read it a long time ago. I enjoyed it. I never finished it, so I'd like to pick it back up again. Scattering his Virgin Bloom. I picked this one up because I'm familiar with the mangaka. I believe she wrote the Kuroneko series. Very smutty series, and I would like to give this one a try for that reason. And then the last one I have is the first volume of Koi Monogatari. This is meant to be like a slow burn BL series. I'm excited to read it. And then the first 2 volumes of Our Dreams at Dusk, I'm actually just realizing that I placed this in the wrong section. This is meant to be in the section of series that are completely new to me. The only thing I know about the series is that it's about a gay teenager that meets other LGBTQ plus people after he was outed involuntarily. So I cannot wait to read that because I do enjoy the premise of the series. And the last set of manga I have, I believe, are all shonen. I have the first volume of Masho, Bungo Stray Dogs, Bloody Cross, and then the second volume of Noragami. Masho, what can I say? I really love the anime, so I picked this one up. I like to read it. Bloody Cross is a fantasy series that I started reading long ago. I completely forgot about it, and I was just super excited to be reminded of the fact that it existed. So I picked it up, and I would like to start reading it again. Bungo Stray Dogs. I can only laugh when I see Bungo Stray Dogs. I got into Bungo Stray Dogs when the series came out. I was a very consistent fan for the first 2 volumes, and then I just stopped watching it. I keep saying I want to get back into it, but I haven't. It's almost like I'm not making time for it, and I feel like a terrible fan. But one day I plan to read and watch all of Bungo Stray Dogs because I actually really did enjoy the series. And lastly, I will end this haul with a rant featuring Noragami, the stray god that apparently everyone seems to have forgotten about. Noragami is not a perfect series. It has its flaws, but so do so many others, and I cannot get over how this series just slowly faded into obscurity. So I would take every chance that I get to remind people that the series exists. Noragami, watch it, read it. Very good series. And that is the end of this manga haul. Oh my god, talking about all of that took so much out of me, and I just realized that I have nearly 100 volumes in this series, and there's barely any BL in that. I feel like my Fujoshi card is going to be revoked, so I'm going to spend the rest of the day reading BL to feel more like a Fujoshi. I hope you enjoyed watching the video, and whatever day you find yourself watching this, make it a great one, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.